two ways to create progress reports in the system. The first one is to find each student one at a time. So you would search for the student, click on their name, and then up in the Create box, you would find IEP Progress Report and hit Create. If you get this that says a new document has been created, you've been successful. If you get this, there's an incomplete document using the form, then somebody has already created a progress report for this student. Don't create a new one, but just use the one that's already existing. The only time we create a new progress report is after an annual ARD. The second way to create a progress report is to do them in bulk. For this method, you need to either select your caseload if all of your students that you work with are on your caseload, or find another way to search for all of the students. Then you check on the checkbox to select all and bulk create documents. You find the IEP progress report and hit create documents. You should get a message like this that says how many documents were created. If some of them have incompleted progress reports, then new progress reports will not be made for these students. That's okay. The ones that are already there can be used for this reporting period. The only time we create a new progress report is after an annual ARD. We've been unlocking stubs to make sure that all of the goals are in the stubs. It's important when you do your first progress report to confirm that all the goals are there, especially since some of us have not done goals for some areas. So you need to pull up the last annual ARD in the PDF and open up the progress report and do a side-by-side comparison of each goal and objectives to make sure that they all match up and that everything's there. The first step when you open a progress report is to go underneath each of the goals that you are putting progress on and put your name and your position. Make sure that you do it for each one and not for other areas. The next step is actually to indicate the progress that the student has done on each objective and goal that is assigned to you. The procedure is the same for each one. Look underneath each goal and objective that you're measuring progress on and click on the button that says Add Progress. Progress date is going to be the date of the progress report, which is the end of the grading period. Progress codes we've talked about. In this case, it's a percentage, so I pick percentage. Progress sufficient. You'll notice that there's a 1 next to it, and up higher on the progress report, that 1 is defined as whether progress is sufficient at this time to anticipate the child will meet the goal or objective by the end of the IEP. So that is the question that you're answering here. Next, you put whether the goal has been met or not. And under comments, there's also a footnote that says if progress is not sufficient at this time to anticipate the child will meet the goal or objective by the end of the IEP, include further action recommended to enable goal achievement in progress comments. Under comments then, if it's a percentage, you need to put what percent the student is at. If it's trials, then you need to say how many trials out of how many trials are they getting correct. At that point, you've completed the required part of the progress report. Now, it's also important that you have documentation to back up everything that you put in here. If you say that the student is at 60%, you need some documents that say that the student is at 60%. And those you'll be asked to turn in. So that's Add Progress. Also in the system, there are some sentence stems for other progress notes. So look at the different ones. There's effort and attitude, needs improvement, making progress, accommodations and strategies, recommended new steps. If you select each one of these, there's a sentence stem, or several sentence stems for each one to give you an idea of things that you might put on the progress report. You're not limited to these. You can make any comments that you feel are appropriate to the student's needs. You'll also notice it says Add Chart. You're not required to do that at this time. Below that, you'll also see a section that talks about transition goals or post-secondary goals. You're not required to do those at this time. And then below all of that, there's some behavior information. You're not required to do that at this time. If the student has transition goals or behavior goals, then they should have been included in the goals section above. And that's one of the reasons why we're skipping these sections at this time. Before finalizing the progress report, do one more run through and make sure that every goal and every objective that is related to the progress period that you're doing progress report for has been filled out by yourself or by another person. It could be speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision. There's all kinds of people that will be doing these things, and you need to make sure that their parts are complete before you go on to the next step. If any of them are missing, then you need to find out who that person is and contact them and just touch base to make sure that they're aware and that they're working on it. Once you've confirmed that all the progress for all the different goals has been entered, the next thing is to finalize the progress report. The first step in this is to translate it. If it needs to be translated, you would go and click on the translate button, put in the email address of the translator from your campus, put in the language, and check modified fields under the language. Then when you click request translation, an email will be sent to the translator requesting them to review the translation. Once they've approved it, then the translation will be available in the progress report. And finally, you need to complete the document. So you click on the lock icon and click complete. If for any reason it doesn't pass compliance, you can click on the checkbox to the right, check in the circle, and look at what's missing, or maybe if something's been entered incorrectly, make all the corrections necessary, then come back to here to complete the document. At the top of the progress report, there's a box that says Progress Codes Key. Progress will be indicated by. There's 4 options here. The first option is discontinued. There's really only 2 times when this is an appropriate code to use. One is if we're discontinuing a service, and so the goal would be discontinued at the same time as the service ends. The other time would be we're doing a progress report right before the annual ARD, which we should all be doing. The student has not been able to master that particular goal. The second option is mastered. I will warn you though that if a student has mastered the skill but still needs assistance in that particular class, then a new goal needs to be made to replace it. And to make a new goal usually involves calling another ARD committee meeting. Third option being percentage. If the goal is for the student to reach a certain percentage of the time, then you would choose this progress code. And the last option is trials. So you would use this if the goal is to achieve something maybe 1 out of 3 times or 4 out of 7 times, something like that. Anytime between the date on the progress report and the date report cards go out, you can share the progress report electronically once it's been completed with the parent. So you would click on share, add the parent and guardian information. If any of your students' parents are Cleveland ISD employees, be sure to use their personal email and not their Cleveland ISD email in this step. Under permissions, really there's no place to sign, so you can just say can view and then click share with parents. It's important that you don't do this before the progress report period, because we're I want to make sure that the dates are all right and that we're not giving information in advance. Once you've shared the document with parents, they're going to get an email from SameGoal. So we don't want them receiving that and not knowing what it is and just deleting it. So it's important that you send an email to all of the parents that are going to be receiving emails from SameGoal with progress reports. So you go to your email, hit compose, on 2, put your own name, and then you need to click on BCC, which is on the far right, and add the parents' names under BCC. You can do this to send this email to all the parents in one email, but they can't see each other's emails, and if they reply to you, it will only come to you. It will not go to everybody. They won't have a way to reply all. Once all of their names are in, then go to the bottom and put the subject and the body. Now the district is coming up with some scripts to help with this, so you should have information on what needs to go in there with specific wording as appropriate. Next to the send at the bottom, there's a down arrow. It's important you click on that and schedule the send. And you want to schedule the send to go the day report cards go home. So you would pick the day of report cards and some time that's appropriate that day. It doesn't have to be what my example says, it could be earlier. And hit schedule send. And this will put this in your scheduled file box in your email, and it will not go until that day and time.